Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Thursday night live streaming Strumstick lessons. And what we're going to be working on tonight is the second half of the Flowers of Edinburgh, Part B. It's a Celtic fiddle tune. The structure, as is the case with many Celtic tunes, is two A's and two B's. And so you play two A parts in a row, and then two B parts, and back to two A parts, and so on. So the first thing we will do is let's go over just the basic fingerings for the melody, and then we'll look at a bunch of different things we can put into it. And I've added a bit more sophistication to the tablature for this part to illustrate some of the things that you could do on this part or on the A part. So we're starting on the second string, and we've got 0, 1, 2 with the dashes in between them here. And the dashes in our little local tablature notion will indicate a slide or a hammer on. And you could play those three notes, 0, 1, 2, on the second string. Hold on a second, the camera's not focusing right. Just let me just make an adjustment here. There we go. No sense having having everything blurry. That's a little better. So we have 0, 1, 2, and I'm using my open first finger, second finger, and you can go hammer on, and then another hammer on with the third finger. Some people call that a double hammer on. A double hammer on could also be if you hammered on two fingers at the same time on two different strings. So it's a sequence of hammer on, or you could do a hammer on and then pick the second fret note. Oops, sorry, got to finger it. Okay, and that's two ways you can go about that. So it's da-da-lum, and that's like a little lead in, da-da-lum, and then the one beat happens on the first string open, and then we have 0, 0, 2 on the second string, 0 on the first string, 2 on the first string, 1 on the first string, open on the first string, and I'm using big blue bar lines, which are not technically measure lines, they're section lines. So we're breaking this song neatly into sections a little more visibly than we did with A1. So the first part goes, and that's it. Da-da-lum-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da. And so that you can learn that section by itself. And the fingerings are pretty straightforward. First finger, second finger, open, second finger comes back in, second finger does the second fret, first finger on first fret. So we've covered the frets, and we've covered what fingers we need for them. Then the next section, immediately to the right of that, is second fret on the second string, second fret again, first fret, second fret, first string, first fret, and then open, and then second string, second fret. So without saying them, on the second string it's 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 0, 2, moving over to the first string for the 1. So I'll just say the fret numbers. 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 0, 2. And again, first finger's handling first fret, and second finger's handling second fret. That's mostly the way that you would go about things. And then the next section, we're leaving right from here on second fret. That's the last note of that of this second section. So we're going to the third section. We go down to the first finger, 1, 0, 1, 2, open on the first string, right back to second string, 2, 1, 0, and then we have 2 on the third string, and then 2, and 1 and 0 all at once. We're fingering a B minor chord. That's why I wrote the B minor there. And then we're fingering a G chord and playing 3 and 1 and 0, and that's just strumming the G chord. So that third section is nice harmony change from the B minor to the C there. So let's look from the beginning up to the end of that third section. I did a little extra strum in there. That's a sneak preview of what we're going to do. I'll take that one more time without the extra note there. So that's the first half of the B part, and then the second half, starting right here, 0 on the first string, 1 0 on the second string, 2 0 2 on the third string, and 0, saying just the fret numbers 0 1 0 2 0 2 0. And then that's the fourth. This is the fifth section. So the fourth section right here, I'm starting on 2, and then strumming all the strings on a G chord. So those two sections, 4 and 5 together, one after the other. Oh, sorry. And that's and I'm using this fingering for G. You could stretch and use the third finger. And then make sure that the camera caught all that. Where are we at? Oh, yeah. That's the G. And then the fifth, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 section. Now, so in here we have a pair of notes, and then another pair of notes, and then another pair of notes, and then all 3 strings. Now, you don't have to brush those pairs. You could just go 2, 1, 0, and then 3 on the third string, 3, 2, 1, 0. You could just play those single notes, those open, the extra open right there, and those extra opens on the second string over the third string notes are little chord bits in there. And we'll take this section all the way to the end. So the last 2 things are you're just fingering 2nd fret and strumming all 3. So and if you just look at the fingering without playing the extra notes, oh sorry, 2. Okay, now ideally we would like to go da, 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 da. But we have to go to this note, which is an octave higher than the note that would be 1 note lower than the open string here. Okay, so we're doing an octave jump to get so we go Da, 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 dum, bum, bum. That's how the actual melody would go if we had more strings. So it's da, 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 da. But we're doing a jump octave to get to here for that lowest note that we don't have. And we're using the brushed chords to keep some higher notes happening so that the jump of the octave is less troublesome and jarring. And by having this, we're keeping a little bass going with these fretted two notes here. So that's kind of a little way of disguising the requirement to jump an octave to make up for a note that you don't have. And when you hear it in time, let's take. I'm going to take all the way from the section number 4. Where am I? That's A. I have to get where I am in the tune. Sorry. Okay, and you could go, which I'll show you in a little bit to ornament that last section with the chords. Sorry. I'm starting to do the fancy thing there. Okay, so that basically covers all the little sections and shows you the fingerings for everything. Hold on just one second. Let me take a little peek here. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got the basic melody, and as I said, it's broken into sections. I think it's much easier to learn tunes like this you learn a section, then another section, then sew those two together, like making a quilt. You know, you make the squares, and then you start putting the squares together. So learn the first section, second section, string them together, then learn the third section, and string the second section to the third section, and then do first, second, and third. And then learn the fourth section, and you can either sew that to the third section, or you can learn the fourth and the fifth and put them together, and then the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth to the end and put them together, and then put the first half to the second half. You decide for yourself. But each of these little phrases by themselves is a fairly musical little unit that you can keep in your head pretty well while you're learning it. And it's short enough to, it's like a phone number. It's short enough to remember, but, long enough to be usable. Okay, so that's the basics for the fingerings and all that. Now what I want to do is start to show you some of the ways that we can dress this up so that we have, more to do this week than just say, here's your notes, go practice now, and I'll talk to you next week. As always, if there's any questions on any of this, drop me a line in the chat or email me at info@strumstick.com. So in the absence of any questions, let's do a quick review. Let me see if I can get the A part back up here. Hold on. Here we go. So we hide that, and I believe I moved the A down a little ways. Let me move it back up. And that should be in sight. Okay. Just to review the A, if anybody's joining us this week that wasn't here last week, now you've got this on the screen. Okay, now that ends the A part is the same ending of the B part. And there's an ornament we can do in both of those. So you have, if you look down at the very end here, oh, I did put a, oh, good, I did write out the fancy ending. I'm glad. Okay. So we're taking the bottom line, 0, 1, and pulling off to 1 to open, and then 1, pulling off to open, and then 2. Instead of, it's, so that very ending can be plugged into, instead of, you can go for that. And now what we're showing on the way we have written the B part is we're showing the introduction of some chords in there. There's a couple of, let's do this one, this little thing first. Now see, this is kind of a descending line. Dum, da, 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 da. Oh, sorry. Dum, da, 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 da. And then it moves down a chunk. Da, da, dum, 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 da, dum, da, 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 dum, da, da, dum. So you've got 3 little sections in there. Sorry. And then you got, those 3 little separate melody sections. We could add an alternating extra note all the way through that. Now, if you notice, you have, that right here is where that little sequence starts. Now, that first string open is the same note as second string, 3rd fret. So, second string, 3rd fret, same as first string open. So if I finger second string, 3rd fret in place of that 0, I can do a thing where I alternate between second string and first string. So instead of going dum, dum, I'm going to go dum, 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 1, 2, 1 and 2 and. So dum, dum, and then 1 and 2 and dum, 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 dum. So I'm doing one little extra note in here. And you might do that as an upstrum since you're going down, up on the first string, down on the second string. Say it again. Down on the second string, down on the second string, down on the second string, up on the first string, down on the second string, up on the second string again at the next fret. So this is down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You could go down, 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 but you'll find when we move the song up to speed, that upstrum can be very handy. You could also go down, up, down, down to get a little more emphasis on that second down. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down. In fact, let's leave it like that because I think that way we're using the upstrum, the up pick for that little extra note there. And so what it's like is I basically did 3 right there, and then I played the first string open. Then now I'm coming dum, 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 dum. So we have and that 0, 0, 2, 1, 0 is already 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and. So that's already got the offbeats. Now then I'm going to go to the 2 down on the second fret, second string, second fret, second string. Bear with me. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab that first string open again, alternating. It's interesting. I was thinking we're adding a lot of extra notes, but it's really only a couple. So all we've really done is we've added an extra open string there and an extra open string there, but it makes it feel like you're going. Oh yeah, so we could just alternate. And that's changing the melody a little bit. So think of if you're fingering this second string, third fret, go like that for a while. Dum, 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 dum. Instead of dum, 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 you could go dum, 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 dum. And instead of going dum, 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 you could go dum, da, dum, da, dum, 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 dum. And then da, 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 dum, 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 da, dum. Now I'm alternating third string and second string. So that's one little variation we can do. The next little detail point I want to show is when we come from the second section into the third section and we get to this B minor to the G, that's a perfect place to do a little pause and a cutoff. So you have. So this is, and I'm exaggerating there. And that little punctuation, you can muffle with your palm of your hand. You can delay that beat a little or do it right on time, but I'm delaying it so you can hear the effect of that release, that cutoff here. So you could also do the cutoff by relaxing your fingers on the left hand. If I don't do that, but if I do it, it's da 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 da, and that little rhythmic pulse there is a wonderful little refreshing thing in the song. So if we play that. So you've got that little burst of chords, that little punctuation in there, and then back to the flowing melody. It makes a really nice change of pace and adds a lot of interest in the song. So that's, and there'll be another spot where we'll do that cutoff also. Now then we have. Now, since we showed the brushing of a couple strings in a few places over here, there's no reason that you couldn't brush an open string next to any of these notes that are on the third string or the second string. If you're playing a note on the first string, you're probably not going to brush the zero string because there isn't one. But if you're playing a note here, it will always make some kind of a harmony with the open string. And you also could choose to finger a note that went with it if you have a chord in mind for there. So when you're playing through the melody, you could go. Okay, let's just, if I just finger the 2, there's no chord. You could still use that as a brushed chord. The fingering I would use there would be this variant of A. This is the A chord. This is a sort of A chord. It's technically, it's closer to an A suspended 4 because it has the D note on the bottom. But it makes a nice harmony pair there. Sorry, that A chord, so I'm playing a chord change. So that's another little variation you can put in there. So you do some brushed chords. And now here where you go, now we're in this section here. So let's take it, actually let's take it from here so that it flows in. That. And that's like it starts, goes down, and then gets some steam and goes on up. So you got a little half step, a little step back and then 3 steps forward, you might say. We could go, so that's, so it's from here, first right there, that's the 1, and then the open, and then open again and hammer on the 1st fret and hammer on the 2nd fret. And it's kind of like this that we started the whole thing with. So it's so that's or and then sorry. Now that dum 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 is another place where we could do the cutoff. The same rhythm. Da-dum, dum, da-dum, dum. But you could also do the and the chord where you do that. This one here could be the A chord. Now it's tricky fingers in there, but this gives you some layers of stuff that you can add into that. So we got I'm losing my melody here. I got to let's take it from here. Sequential memory sometimes in the middle of a fiddle tune. That's what I want to do. Or just playing the single notes. Okay, so that's a number of little bits in there. And the other thing you can do, and this is getting a little more esoteric, but it's not terribly hard, is when I'm playing this tune, and I'll often throw in an extra where there's a space. Sometimes I'll reach down and grab the bass string and add a note from a chord. And what that's kind of like is simulating a note that an accompanying instrument might put in. And now you don't want to completely fill in the spaces of a fiddle tune. If you think about the basic intent of fiddle tunes is to provide beat and offbeat information for dancers to keep track of their timing dancing with other dancers. Okay, so if you just had just beats, dum 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 dum, the stomping of the dancer's feet, the noise of the movement around the room tends to mask the beat sounds. So it's important to have a liberal sprinkling of offbeats in a good dance tune, because people are often lifting their feet on the end and putting it down on the beat. So that means that the offbeat information is providing a lot of the timing information for people because, like I said, their footsteps are kind of drowning out what the fiddle is doing, or the band as a whole, if you will. So the offbeats are useful, and if you ever do contra dancing or square dancing or any of the other forms of country folk dancing, you'll notice that bands often add an extra, they'll add an extra note sometimes where there's a space. The fiddle will be playing up high, and they'll reach over and they'll play a low note on the violin to add an extra beat or offbeat in a place there was a space to keep the dancer's feet moving, they might say. So if we go. You could do an extra strum. So instead of so whenever there's a space, you could add a strum. You could reach over and play first fret or second fret, or open on the third string, and it's a little more in the first part too. And then in the first part. Sorry. So you can add an extra beat in many places in there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play through the first part and the second part now, and I'm not going to do the A twice and the B twice. And I'm just going to put in the kinds of little things that I would put in, and I may, inadvertently change the melody a little bit. And then we're going to take a little look at another interesting little melody thing that I was working on to show you. So here we go. So there's a whole bunch of little extra things, and if you listen to that, you can see I put those little extra chord strums and things like that in there in a bunch of different places. And there's a huge difference when you're playing a fiddle tune as an instrumental to be listened to as opposed to dancing to it. If you just play the melody with the single notes, it's it's dry. It's not lifeless. It has its own life as a melody. But as soon as you add fragments of chords and a hammer on here or there, and a little getting quieter, a little getting softer, maybe a cutoff, punctuations here and there, the whole thing takes on a three-dimensional life as a piece of music. And of course, that's something that we've been talking about through all of these lessons, is how to breathe life into the things that you're playing, how to add little variations that make things feel a little more organic, not every note cookie cutter cut out exactly the same. We haven't even really talked about vibrato, wiggling your finger as it presses the string to create a vibrato. We haven't talked about bending. We haven't done a lot of sliding for example, you can go, instead of going dum, dum, da, 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 you could start and use this finger note. Now, you can't slide into an open string, right? Because you're not anywhere. So you can't slide to it. But since that first string open is the same as second string, third fret, you could go dum, 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 dum. So I'm doing a little slide in, which is like the little slur that that pipes do. That's the little pulse from the push on the bag or on the on the elbow pump to get a little accent there, and that's an artifact of piping. And fiddle tunes come from piping tunes in a sort of a genetic historical way. So that you'll find the fiddle emulating things that the pipers did because they were only fingering one note at a time. So they had to really work how they shaped those notes in order to get the melody to stand out. They had drone notes, and Ilian pipes, the more sophisticated Irish pipes, have occasional extra notes that they can add in. But by and large, the techniques of pipe tunes, the ornaments and all the little rhythmic tricks that they do are in a way to make up for the absence of having other notes in harmony to really put in to fill out the song. So they invented a whole lot of great stuff, and then the fiddle players learned that stuff and emulated it on fiddle, but then they also had the advantage of being able to play, little two-stop and three-stop little bitty chords in there too. So the music got, richer and broader, and when people play those tunes on harp, of course they have a wealth of harmony and combinations possible. And so now when we play on Strumstick fiddle tunes, we're actually playing the descendant of a descendant of a descendant of a descendant, and we're kind of taking it back a little bit in terms of we're stuck a little more simple than a guitar or a harp or a whole band has to play those tunes. So those little ornaments and those little turns and those little rhythmic tricks take on even more importance when you're in a simple setting, like we have with the Strumstick. Okay, so I've been working on a blog article for the website on recording for people, showing how to record playing with themselves with the Strumstick, which is actually really easy to do. And I think I may do a lesson about that at some point. I'm not going to go into all the details of the techniques, and they're not terribly hard. It's actually very simple. If you have an iPhone, you can play a tune on the iPhone and then listen to it on the iPhone and play something else with that. Maybe play the melody on the first, on the iPhone part, and then strum the chords on the live part, or strum the chords on the iPhone part and then play the melody with that. It's a lot of fun, and it leads to some other things. And you can check out the blog on the website when it's done. It's up in a preliminary way now. But in order to illustrate something on that, I took some of the notes, some of the little phrase from Peter Paul and Mary's classic "A Souling," a holiday time tune, because it's two separate melody lines that weave together and make a nice moving harmony dual melody thing. So it's the fingerings are so simple. I'm going to show you on the Strumstick live. I don't have them written down on tablature, but if you take your I'll just show you the beginning, how it starts. The first part goes. So it's not a lot of moving, and it's not a lot of hard fingerings, and you are using the pinky, but you're using it up here where the frets are close together. So you've got first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, one to a fret here. So everybody's right happy where they are. So we're playing a bar, holding the second string and the first string at the fret number 5. So those are held down through the whole sequence except when we let go to climb up there. So we've got alternating second string and then first string, then second string again, then first string 1 fret higher, 2 frets higher. That's the second finger, and then second string again, and then the third note we have, which the pinky plays. So it's kind of like we're going da, 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 with an alternate of this. Da, 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 da. So that you could practice that little unit just by itself. So we're using that second string fifth fret, almost as though it's an open string. We're just kind of we're holding it the whole time, so it's like it's just there, and we're going. So if you pretended that this was the 0 fret, it's like you're going 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 3. Now, in fact, the numbers are 5, 5, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 5, 5, 5, 7, 5, 8, and then we just go down 2 notes. So da, 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 but I'll leave this fingered. Da, da, da. That's the first phrase. Now, you don't have to use the pinky. You could use your third finger. That's okay too, just to move the third finger back and forth. Swing your elbow in a little if that helps to get the fingerings in there. That's the first phrase. Then the second phrase begins just like the first phrase and then goes from the 3rd fret, and it just goes up from the 8th fret. It goes 8, 9, 10. So it's 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 7, 5, 8, 9, 10. 5, 5, 5, 7, 5, 8, 9, 10. And we still have this. And then, so those two together. Okay, then it repeats the first one over again. And then it goes. And so this is the first time we're fretting a different note on the 2nd string. And we're instead of going to here, we're going to here. But we're doing it where the offbeat is. The note, that's the note that would have been this note. Da. So it's and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then so here's the whole sequence. I'll do it slow. And it's in sections. It's like first section, second section, first section again, and a different second section. So we'll call that 3. So first section. Second section. First. Third. So that's the whole first part of the tune. Now, you play that. And you record that on your phone. And then, while you do that like a bunch of times in a row, at whatever speed you're comfortable, and it'll be a while before you can play it. As soon as you turn on the phone on, you'll forget everything you ever knew, including your name. That's the way it is when you're recording. When you start recording anything, you forget everything you ever knew. And then you go, oops, and you stop it, and then you start it again, and that'll happen 5 or 6 times. But then one of the times that you turn it on, you realize, oh, I'm no longer thinking about that. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing on the Strumstick. And you might be playing at this tempo. You could even listen to me. When we finish this second section, I'll play that first part monotonously about 5 or 6 times in a row. So you could even listen to this, listen to the video, and you could play the second part along with me playing the first part. So the second part that happens at the same time does not start with an offbeat. So this goes and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And the second part starts on the 1, and it starts also at the 5th fret. So instead of, we just have dum 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 dum. That's the first two sections of the second part, and so it's just descending dum 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 and a little zigzag. 5 4 3 2 3. Once more. 5 4 3 2 3. Then 2 1 0 1. 1 on the second string. 2 1 1. 2 1 0 1 1. 2 1 0 1 1. Simple little melody. Once more. 5 4 3 2 3 2 1 0 1 1. 5 4 3 2 3 2 1. Now the second time you just go 0 2 on the second string, 1. So the second time through, the only thing that's different is the last 3 notes. Instead of, so the first time through, the last 3 notes are 0 1 1, and the second time through they're 0 2 1. So that's dum 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 dum. Sorry, I'll take it again. My mistake. And you notice my turn of the hand there? What I'm turning for is that when I'm working on the first and second, the first string and the first and second finger, or maybe first and third finger, but they're over on the first string, I'm leaning a little more this way to bring my third finger close to that second fret position, so I don't have to travel a lot of distance with that finger. But when I have to go, if I'm over here, that's the position that's rotated a little towards the first string. It's a long reach for that third finger over to here, and I'm probably going to bump the first string, which may or may not matter, but if that's ringing, it might be nice if it keeps ringing. So I rock my hand just slightly this way as I reach for that third finger on the second fret note. So it's just that, what's that? Maybe a half-inch actual movement of the hand. The first finger makes that little reach just by extending itself, but that's a kind of a long extension for the third finger. So it's just a little kind of a twist there, but that can help. So here's that up to speed. Several ways you could finger it. You could just do first finger the whole time. So that's all first finger, but you could also go third finger here, second finger, first finger, second finger, first finger, open, first finger, first finger. See that? So that was third, second hops down, 2 1 2 3 finger numbers, 3 2 2 1 2 1 1 open 1 1. And you could probably figure out some other combinations, because you could obviously go 3 2 3 2 3 2 1 1 1 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. So if you want to use that second finger instead of the third finger, and that actually might be easier and it doesn't require the hand shift. So you choose where your fingers go. So what we'll do now, again, I'm just going to check and see if we have any questions at all. No, okay. And I'm gonna play through the high part several times at a moderate speed, and I think I'll take this off so that's not confusing things. Okay, so we've got, I'll do this a bunch of times through. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I may brush a couple strings once in a while, anything like that. I hope it won't be anything that distracts you too much. 1 and 2 and 3. Oh, and you'll need this little count in. I'm going to go 1 and 2 and 3, and I'm going to start playing on and before 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that 1 and 2 and 3 is going to give you information that you will need in order to start in time with the video when you play the second part. So remember, the video doesn't, let's see, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So it's the and after 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, like that. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so there's for you to play. To play that part with. And you notice that I missed this note and I went here, so I slid up to it. Those are the little sneaky recoveries that you can do that actually add variation to it, but that was not intentional. So we have a high part and a recording, and you can learn it and make your own recording of it, or you can just play along with the video when it gets reposted. And you can learn the second part with and play that with the first part, or you can play just the first part along with the first part. You can work that whichever way you want. And that's the beginning of a nice little holiday song, and maybe we'll swing back to that next week. And no, I won't make any promises about next week, but we'll check in with this next week to see how people did on this little thing. But we may have something else to work on there too. What I wanted to say was that I lost my thought here. Let's see. Oh yes, so the blog article, which is making multi-part recordings with Strumstick for multi-part recordings, has some videos in it that show you nice and slowly all the fingerings, just like I just did, but they play them several times in a row, even slower than I played them now. So that's, you can learn it. So if you're a little crazy trying to remember where these notes are just from watching the video, you can watch those videos much slower. And that would be, so if you went to strumstick.com, and then the links across the top, one of them says blog, click on the blog, and then select the blog that is talking about recording multi-parts with the Strumstick. And in that blog article, there are a series of little videos right there, and they show another couple parts too. And then they show a nice video with all 4 parts I'm playing at the same time, but I put all the videos together in one sequence at a faster speed playing it. So anyway, so that's some things for you to work on. And if you have any questions, let me know. And otherwise, I hope everyone has a great week. Everyone stay safe. Stay sane as best you can, and enjoy playing your Strumstick, and I will see you next week. Bye.